Welcome back to Daybreak on Orions News. Now it's that time of the morning for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. So let's start off as usual with our sister publication, This Day newspaper, and basically the main story. Red list, UK under fire for travel apartheid against Nigeria. The federal government fumes, insists ban is discriminatory and unfair. The UN condemns Britain and others for travel apartheid, says ban targeted at poor countries. Country's High Commissioner to United Kingdom kicks against restrictions, calls for global collaboration. NARD, new variant not as deadly to warrant flight restrictions. SEA COVID harps on mass vaccination to prevent virus spread. And Biden's medical advisor urges Nigerians to take boosted jabs. Also fails to red list 17 European countries despite recording Omicron. So basically that's saying that the UK, despite 17 countries in Europe also registering Omicron, there has been no travel restrictions there. In other news, Emirates resumes flights to Nigeria. Ghana says Buhari's failure to implement 2014 Confab report a terrible mistake, says Nigeria better off together. And also, despite the federal government's plea, electricity workers cripple power supply in Abuja and environs. So there we go, that's this day this morning.
And let's move on over now to the Punch newspaper. Travel ban, Nigeria, UK may clash. The federal government alleges action discriminatory. And the rise to that story, Britain's decision based on discrimination, not scientific, but prejudice. And that's according to the federal government. The Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 says it will respond appropriately soon. Away from that, above the nameplate, rising food prices fueling inflation in Nigeria and others, and that's according to the IMF. Foreign airlines to cut Nigeria flights as sales crash. Right at the bottom, 3 billion naira fraud. EFCC protests US medical travel application by ex-NSITF boss.
The Guardian, Nigeria and the apartheid. Federal government slams UK's travel ban. Federal government reviewing sanctions. Nigeria will respond appropriately. UK red list unjust. Nigeria paying for cordoning errors of commission. Africa CDC, only 7% of Africans fully vaccinated compared to 66% of EU population. Stakeholders link restriction to economic sanction, urge the federal government to reciprocate. Also, Nigeria risks exposure to deadlier COVID-19 variants as only 1.8 fully vaccinated. That's the Guardian this morning.
And just before we look at the international papers, let me take a look at The Nation. The Nation newspaper here, travel ban, discriminatory, punitive. Federal government tells the UK, seeks review of policy. It's for public good. That's according to the British High Commissioner. Why Buhari may sign Electoral Act Amendment Bill. And this is by Adesina. Find that on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Above the nameplate, Southwest, Southeast, Middle Belt youths demand president. And Labour puts members on the alert over fuel price hike.
Now in the international papers, The Guardian UK, Afghans left to die in Kabul due to UK red tape chaos, says diplomat. Omicron cases may be much higher than previously thought. Minister said 336 cases have been identified, but it could be more. And sham trial, Aung San Suu Kyi jailed in Myanmar.
I've got The Independent, revealed the chaos of the UK's Kabul evacuation. Tens of thousands of pleas for help went unanswered by Britain. Senior MPs warning that failures betrayed our friends and allies.
The Times, Western leaders plan reprisals if Russia invades Ukraine. Also, Omicron cases in UK double every 3 days. It will be dominant strain in weeks, that's according to experts. And apparently TV is to be blamed for middle-class cocaine use.
Quick look at the Daily Express. Bank of England warns price rises will bite even harder.
And Financial Times, SEC probes Trump's non-woke group as blank check fears rise. Also, 3 big tech groups garner half of global advertising spend outside of China. And also India, accord with Putin as US call looms.
The I newspaper, UK ministers bullish about no plan B as Omicron starts to spread in the community.
So, for the press preview, let's bring in our news analyst, Emmanuel Below. Good morning to you, Emmanuel. Good to see you as always. Now, I think it's fair to say even the UK papers, not very complimentary about the UK this morning, never mind the Nigerian papers. The big story is the current travel ban. Now, I have to say, yesterday I called the Home Office. They're responsible for who is allowed in and out of the country to clarify some of the regulations. They had no clue. The woman actually said to me, no, I don't know, I'm really sorry. I suppose you want me to clarify, I can't help you. She put me on to the Foreign Office. The Foreign Office couldn't help me. So then I was put to the Travel Department, or the Department for Transport, who are getting back to me today to clarify some really simple rules. Do you think it's fair to say that basically there's not enough quarantine hotels, the staff in all 3 departments that are supposed to work together to implement these don't have a clue? Was this a rushed policy, badly thought out?
Yeah, well, that's what everybody is saying. Good morning, Dan, and that's quite interesting that you jump on the story yourself to do the research and to look at the backstories to all of this, and that's very important. It's the sort of reporting we should be doing, and but of course, the Nigerian papers have been reporting all of that. This day, for instance, with that big story saying that we are calling it what it is, that it's just like you mentioned, it's badly thought out, it's not anchored in science, it's not anchored in any form of reasoning, it's not anchored in any form of serious planning, it's not anchored in almost nothing. It's just almost something like it's out of the blue. The only thing the British government probably is saying is that, look, we need to save, we have growing cases here back home, and we cannot afford to have people coming in from anywhere as to compound our crisis. But even that is a bit suspect, because we are talking about a country where, like Libo, the Minister of Information said, that with less than a dozen cases of Omicron here, and then why the alarm, why the panic, why the ban? And so it's been called all sorts of names. Of course, the word discriminatory is one that is recurring in almost all the reporting, and some even going to the extent of saying screaming apartheid. So it's gone to that, and the roar is growing. I don't know if the UK government is going to do some reconsideration. Yesterday, trying to offer some form of explanations that this is just an ongoing procedure, nothing serious about it. But of course, everyone's screaming, and like you noted, Dan, nobody is sure of the plans in place, and it's a bit chaotic when people are actually calling it a chaos, because sometimes there is no really understanding of what's going on. The British saying that its citizens can actually come down there, even if they're coming from Nigeria, and then but if you're a non-citizen, you can't make it down. So it's confusing, and of course with the damning accusation that damning accusation that, well, Nigeria is not the only other country that has got a case of Omicron. Why are those other countries? I think it's 7 countries also were listed in one of the newspapers where you have Omicron, but they've not been banned from getting into the UK. So what is this? Is this just a rushed out plan? Is this not a well thought thing? But these are the sort of things that everyone is asking, and too many questions, few answers.
Exactly, Emmanuel. We'll be waiting for the answer that Dan gets later today when he gets a call back from the office. I want to take a story from this day, and then we'll connect it to the one in the Nation newspaper. Now, despite federal government's plea, electricity workers cripple power supply in Abuja environs. That's on page 6. In the Nation newspaper, Labour is putting members on alert over fuel price hike. There could be another strike by them come 2022. Now, Emmanuel, for those of us who stay in Abuja, the federal capital, and some other states close to it, the whole of Monday was a blackout for most people, and apparently the workers under the AEDC embarked on a strike. and eventually, I can't recall what time it was, but the power came back on at the night time. Now, there was an agreement reached by the National Union of Electricity Employees and the AEDC. Did we have to wait for the blackout before we reached that agreement? And what about petrol crisis? Yesterday, I asked a question about information and sensitization. Did you know about this case with the AEDC?
Well, yeah, we don't know too much about what is going on in the background, but what we are seeing is the effect of bad policy and maybe to some extent bad leadership too in all these issues, especially that of electricity and of course petrol. Two things that, whether we like it or not, define not just the season but our lives generally going forward. And of course, especially the issue of petrol, the issue of fuel scarcity, the crisis of the subsidy that will be removed. Those are ongoing concerns, ongoing issues that yes, Kenneth, like you're saying, a lot of information need to be some sort of citizen enlightenment needs to be going on to understand even what is going on, because in most cases ignorance seems to be the biggest issue around the issue. And then the issue of electricity, it's amazing that up to now we're still having this kind of crisis. It's almost like an intractable problem, with various governments doing everything to ensure that we have electricity supply. And some people say that it's going to be a huge campaign issue as we go into the next dispensation. We just need someone that actually can literally bring the light. A country can be bigger than its electricity supply. A country is as good, the development within a country is as good as the amount of those megawatts generated and actually distributed. So this is something we need to do something about. All government have complained. Some people say it's the forces, they are fighting the forces of darkness. But here we are almost like in a vicious cycle, back to the same issue of lack of electricity, and especially this festive period when people need it. So there are issues that we have to continue to beam our satellite on, report on them, but certainly actually tax on governance to do something about these two very fundamental issues in the lives of our people.
Emmanuel, I want to, if it's okay, go to the international papers. It's the Guardian UK, but also I think it was in another paper as well. And this is criticism now of the UK in terms of Afghanistan. Afghans left to die in Kabul due to UK red tape chaos. At the time, I think it was quite clear that the whole of the world was happy to criticise the United States for what seemed to be a really badly planned exit from Afghanistan. But now it's showing light that the UK once again hasn't got their policy in place, and now people are being left to die. Would you agree?
Well, it's sort of a relief to the United States that at least they've got a partner in the blame game, because yes, you're right, there was a feast of those blame. The Biden ratings, the President Biden ratings just went real down because of this issue. Kabul, Afghanistan issue was by far the greatest international diplomacy error of his administration. I'm sure if he looks back, that will be, and there is the problem of evacuation, the idea of leaving behind those who have supported your regime, those who have agreed, just leaving them behind to die. Yesterday, someone actually saying that it's I think over 111 days now of those people who have been left behind. And it says badly about policies, about relationship, about loyalty to those who are supporting your regime, those who you consider as friends, being left behind. And of course, left to die in the hands of the Taliban. So yes, it's shocked also the British government play a part in some of this. Before now, it was all about the United States. And again, it's the issue of whether you're going to support these countries, whether the commitment that countries are making to their allies around the world in the fight against terror, that they could be left behind. And so this is really shocking and disturbing. And of course, the human angle story to it, the number of people that couldn't just get out, trapped within Kabul and left to die in the hands of the Taliban. It's an indictment of the worst on international powers, and the fact that if you support them, what will they do to you on the days when you need their support and their help? So those are the issues around it.
Thank you for your brilliant submission, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press brief.